I told myself I want to kick it more old school in 2026, seeing that Instagram became very, very fast. So I challenged myself. I'm like, I want to share my story on how this little kid that used to watch his parents train while listening to Led Zeppelin, Blink 182, Mariah Carey, the Eagles, the Rolling Stones, how that little kid became a trainer who was then tested by things like COVID and then took their business on Instagram and got the courage to now start podcasting. So, first and foremost, if this sucks, I'm really, really sorry for wasting your time, but this is somebody trying. So, let's rewind to my childhood. Both my parents train. My mom, my dad. If you see this picture right here or here, wherever I'm going to place it, that's me with my dad on the beaches of Pescara, Italy. We're Italians. And this is my mom, 64 years young. She still trains to this day. So I remember growing up, I used to watch my mom and dad train in the basement of our home gym, blasting those tunes. And I was just there. I just wanted to play. My mom's like, Derek, when your father and I are done training, we'll go play outside. We didn't have iPads back in the day. I'm 36 years young, so 33 years ago, there was no iPads. And I used to see my mom and my dad, throw around those weights. My dad used to wear a onesie, and my mom used to be in her sports bra, with curly, long blonde hair. And I've seen that for years. Fast forward to maybe when I was 14 years old, I wanted to train too. Now, I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was chest and biceps because that's what I saw my dad do. So instead of doing n'importe quoi, which is a French term here in Montreal, Quebec, I actually started those P90X videos. Tony Horton? Yeah, I used to do those. And you know what? They worked wonders. I did the P90X, many rounds of P90X. I did Insanity with Sean T. I remember doing that for 2, 3 years. My mom at the time was running. So once I got into the or once I gained the confidence with my fitness, I started running with my mother. And I remember my first 10 kilometers was with my mom, I think at 17 years old. And I remember telling myself, if I could do this in under an hour, I will be very, very happy. So that was like the first time I ever had a goal and accomplished a goal and remembered the feeling of crossing that finish line. I think it was like at 59 minutes and 30 seconds. So that was the first time I accomplished a goal. And I think that I got addicted to that. And the addiction to goal chasing was a blessing, but also a curse. And I'm going to tell you why. Discipline is really important. And I knew that at a young age. But when it starts affecting your mental health and the quality of your life, that's when I knew something had to change. So I used to try to eat super clean, never eat pasta, never eat rice. I remember there was a time in my life that I didn't touch rice for like 10 years. There was a time in my life that I didn't eat pasta for like 2 years. So imagine telling my grandmother, who was an Italian, her name is Vendurin, that I don't want to eat pasta because I want to stay in shape. And she's looking at me like, your grandfather is 87, Nonno Giuseppe, is wasted every single day, eats pasta every single day, and there, here you are, not wanting to eat pasta. And it never really made sense to me, but that's all I used to read. And that's all I used to see. So low carb was the way to go back then. But up until Fridays used to come around, and being at the time 19 years old, I wanted to go out as well with my boys. There was still a little bit of a rebel in me. We used to go to this place called Fuzzy's back in the day, this club in Laval. And it was so old school that you were able to buy a case of 24 beers. I think it was like $48. And I used to party, but I always used to wake up the next day and get shit done. And 1 month led to the other, and I really wanted to get serious with my fitness. So I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped partying, which was a good thing. Like stopping the partying was a good thing, but it got way too extreme. And that's when I developed the binging patterns that, like I was saying, Friday used to come around. You just want to enjoy a bag of chips, and a bag of chips becomes 2 bags of chips, and you just want to enjoy an ice cream, and an ice cream becomes 2 ice creams, and Friday goes into a Saturday binge, and Saturday becomes a Sunday binge, and Sunday is the worst day because you know that the diet is restarting Monday. Now, I know that I'm looking at my notes right now. Again, like I want this to feel like you're actually having a conversation with me. I don't want it to be like perfect. Maybe with time, maybe this could become a thing. Maybe this could become a podcast. But for now, I want you to feel like you're sitting in the gym with me and we're just kind of sharing our story together. Why not? And I don't think that this is going to go viral. If it does, fantastic. Maybe I'll retire off this video. So I knew that something had to change. And that's when I started tracking my macros and actually gave myself a little bit of flexibility to add in a couple of treats every single day. So I would stop treating Friday, Saturday, Sunday like it's the last time that I would ever enjoy a cookie. And honestly, it really, really helped me. So it was about 4 to 5 years that I was training pretty serious. Well, I want to say that. I kept doing my P90X, kept doing my Insanity, kept running with my mother, finished multiple half marathons. And I'll tell you, this isn't really part of my story, but I want to tell you this because it's a very pivotal moment in my life, and it did give me a huge lesson. So the first lesson was the feeling of getting to goals. And that was the first time I ran my 10K. So one day, me and my mom signed up to this 10 kilometer in Oka. Now, if you're not from Montreal, Oka is this place in the mountains where it's down, up, down, up. And we signed up to a 10K. So here I am, I'm running, and I have a GPS watch on. So I'm at 9.2 kilometers. If you're a runner, you know that the last 800 meters of a 10K race, you're going to go. So I pedal to the metal. 800 meters left. I'm going. I'm running next to this woman and next to this gentleman, and we're running 9.7, 9.8, 9.9, 10. Now, usually at these races, there's a finish line. There's people chanting your name. You pass the finish line. They give you an oatmeal cookie. 10.1, 10.2, 10.3. What's going on? So at 11 kilometers, we stop. I stop. The girl stops. The gentleman stops. And we're like, what's going on? There's a bus that comes to meet us. And they're like, they forgot to put the finish line. Because there was a 21-kilometer happening at the same time. So they wanted people to loop. So where we're supposed to finish the 10K, they forgot to put the finish line. So they wanted us to loop and go back. I never ran anything over 12 kilometers. So we had 2 choices. To hop on the bus and they were going to drive us back. But the bus was already full. So I had to wait 45 minutes for the next bus to come. Super disorganized, I know. Or complete my first half marathon. No gels on me, no gummy bears on me, because obviously when you run long distance, you need a little bit of sugar to kind of replenish your glycogen. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any of that. But I did run back 15 kilometers, 16 kilometers. I have blisters. My legs are hurting. I don't have my cell phone on me. Back in the day, like it was a Nokia brick. That thing was huge. I'm not bringing that with me. Running, running, running. And I remember at 18 kilometers, that's when I hit the wall. If you're a runner, you know that there's a wall, and that's when out of you're out of energy, you're out of juice, and that's when you probably have to take a gel to kind of replenish. I didn't have any of that. 19 kilometers, 20 kilometers. And I remember, this is going to sound so cheesy, but listen, it happened. I looked at the sky and it was a cloudy day and the sun came out. You know, the rays of sun, I saw it. I'm like, this is a beautiful moment. And that was the second lesson that I learned on this health and fitness journey, that beautiful moments come from when you get through hard times. Because at 20 kilometers, I knew I was going to finish it. Even if my legs would have broke, I knew I was going to finish it. So I crossed the finish line, 21.1 on a day that was supposed to be 10 kilometers. And my mother's crying. She's like, don't you ever fucking do that again. You should have got on the bus. What is wrong with you? I was going to call a cop soon. And I was just so happy. I'm like, man, I just ran a half marathon. She's like, you're a psychopath. So that was a huge moment for me and a huge lesson that the best moments in life come from extremely, extremely hard times and really hard effort. So I went back home and I was still dealing with like my binging. So I knew something had to change, and I wanted to get out of the house to kind of, train at a gym or something. So I found this CrossFit gym. It was called CrossFit Laval back in the day. And I was on YouTube and I saw people climbing a rope. They were doing Fran, which was 2159 of thrusters and pull-ups. And I got really turned on by it. I'm like, I've never seen people do this. I was used to Tony Horton and Shaun T freaking doing what they do. And I love those guys. So I signed up, and I remember I went to my first CrossFit workout. I walk in, I think they were playing Marilyn Manson. I pulled up to the gym in my two-door Civic. It had leather interior. It was a Civic Si 2001. I thought I was bawling. And I was playing probably like the Drake Take Care album. I don't know, but it was probably that. So I walk out of the car listening to Headlines, or maybe Take a Shot for Me. And I walk into the gym and they're playing freaking Marilyn Manson. This is the new shit. And I'm like, where the hell am I? And there's 4 goons, gorillas, with their shirt off, just yelling at someone else on the floor. I'm like, what am I doing here? So, finishing the half marathon, I have an ego bigger than the door. My head couldn't even fit into the door. So I look at the workout, and the workout is 400-meter run, 21 kettlebell swings, 400-meter run, 15 kettlebell swings, 400-meter run, 9 kettlebell swings. And I'm laughing. I'm like, is this the warm-up? And I guess they were used to getting that type of reaction because CrossFit workouts, some of them are very short, high intensity, short. The more intense, the shorter a workout should be. I didn't know that. I was kind of uneducated back in the day. So we line up, 3, 2, 1, go, bang. Long story short, I finished last place. Last place. And that was the first time that I was humbled in a workout. And it was the first time that I actually experienced what true intensity was. And you know what was really weird? It got me excited that I sucked at something. And it gave me this fire desire to get so much better at it. Within 6 months, I had gotten my CrossFit certification, level 1, level 2, and I think another one. And I started working as a coach there. During this time, I used to work at a bank. But I loved CrossFit so much that I actually went part-time at my bank job to pursue my coaching career in CrossFit. So I got my certifications, and I remember going to my coach. I said, I don't feel like I have the skills to get paid yet. Are you willing to have me coach, but have me coach for free? They had never heard anything like that. So I literally told someone, I want to get better. I want to coach for free up until I feel confident enough to actually take a paycheck. That lasted 6 months. So I coached for free for 6 months. And later in the story, you're going to see that this is a pattern that I have of mine, which gave me another lesson, which I want to talk about later. You're not falling asleep? If you're not falling asleep and you got here, I'm happy. So if you stop the video right now, like, I'm happy. I don't even know how long I'm talking for. I just told myself that I want to freaking put myself out there on YouTube or wherever this is going to go. Maybe it's going to be on CBS. Probably not. So I worked for free for 6 months, finally was getting paid, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it. At the time, I had my nonna and my nonno. My nonno passed away. My nonna lived in a duplex. And when my nonno passed away, my nonna was alone. So I decided to move in with my nonna, which is Vindurin. I'll put her face here somewhere. And I didn't know this about my grandmother, but my grandmother didn't sleep. She snoozed on the couch. So here I am, knowing the importance of sleep. I couldn't sleep because the lady would walk back and forth all freaking night. I'm like, what's going on here? So I called my dad, who is my nonna's son, and I said, Pa, I have no problem taking care of your mom, my nonna, but I need a gym. Like, I need a man cave. And, the basement, there was a tenant there. Italians, we try to get money everywhere we could, right? That's one thing I know about Italians. When there's an opportunity to make money, trust me, us, we're going. We're freaking going. So my dad's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you want to do, what do you mean you want to do a den downstairs? I said, Pa, I want to do a gym. And I was still training CrossFit. And it was like 3 years now I was a coach. And I was getting really, 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 really good at it. Like, I just felt like a natural in the way I spoke and the way I coach and coach's eye and kind of understanding people where they come from and the struggles, because I've been through those struggles myself. He's like, you know what? Okay, just do whatever you want. I said, okay, nice. So we got to building. And it took about a year to build. And I was working part-time. I was working, maybe 20 hours of CrossFit. So I was working about 40 hours a week. It was good money back then, but it was definitely not enough to pay for a home gym that you probably needed like $20,000, $30,000 of gym equipment back then. So what did I do? The reckless person that I am, I maxed out all my credit cards and went on roguefitness.com.ca. Back then, there wasn't many fitness stores that you could order equipment from. There was like Fitness Depot, Rogue Fitness, and probably like Atlantis. So I remember I did an order on Rogue Fitness and I maxed out all my credit cards. I ordered so much equipment that there was 2 crates in front of my grandmother's house, and we got the building. A year later, the gym was finally ready, and I had quit the CrossFit, still working at my bank job part-time, and I started training my friends and some of my CrossFit clients. I did not take the clients. They stopped training. And then when they heard that I was doing like a little home gym setup, they said, hey, we would love to come train with you. And I remember, maybe insecure little me at the time, I used to charge $9 per hour. So I remember vividly like it was yesterday. You know what's crazy? Like this little podcast or waste of time, whatever you want to call it, is in the basement of my grandmother's duplex still. Like I own the place now, and my nonna lives 5 minutes away, but like it's such a full circle moment that there's maybe going to be like 10 to 15 people that are going to listen to this story that maybe are going to be inspired. And I remember charging $9 per hour down here. The day was like this: 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., client, client, client. I used to leave here, take the metro downtown, which is about 30 minutes away, work at the bank for 4 hours, come back for 2:30, and I used to train from 2:30 to 4 myself, and then have a client from 4 to 9 p.m. So 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I did that consistently for 2 years. For 2 years. One day I'm at my bank job, pretending to work. And I got up. Actually, I don't want to say this, but I will because I really want to be vulnerable on this video. I was watching, there was this guy in like a cornfield talking about what is life if you don't live your purpose? And I don't know how I landed on it. I really don't know. And it spoke to me. And I was already like going back and forth in my head, like, should I quit my job? Should I not quit my job? Like, could I fill up those slots? Maybe could I raise my prices? Blah, 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 blah. But all I knew is that I was working 15-hour days. And the video said, what's a life if you're not living with passion? And I looked around a second. I looked at my boss, who was probably making back then, I don't know, 100 grand. Back then, 100 grand was a ton of money, and it still is a lot of money. But back then, obviously, it was worth a whole lot more. And I looked at them. And then I looked at the manager. And then I looked at the person that was working at that bank for 35 years. And I really studied the way they were moving. And I said, if that's what this is, I don't want it. I got up, I went to my boss, I said, I quit. And me and my boss, like, we liked each other, but they kind of hated me at the time because all I used to do was like freaking watch fitness stuff on YouTube to kind of learn more and take certifications and blah, 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 and learn as much as I could for my clients. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm not sure, but I'm guaranteed quitting. They're like, can you give us a 2 weeks? I'm like, absolutely. 2 weeks went by. It was my last day. I went home, and it was that moment of uncertainty. So that's another lesson. First, it was the goals, how good it feels to accomplish a goal. And then it was the lesson of beautiful moments come from very rough times. And this third lesson of how freaking scary uncertainty is. And I remember I was right here. I took a picture. Maybe I'll find it. I'll put it up. I took a picture right over here. And it was this moment of me being proud, but it was also this moment of me being shit scared. Can I swear on YouTube? Like, if this hits 10 million views, am I going to get paid? I don't know. And I was so scared. But it was also the moment where I had no choice to succeed because I had nothing to fall back on. Within 2 weeks, I filled up the times that I would normally work at the bank. I filled them up with clients. And I worked 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. for $9 an hour. And then I got a little bit intelligent. I'm like, well, I have a 400 square foot space. Why am I just training one person at a time? I started training 2 people at a time, 3 people at a time, 4 people at a time. So I did that for 5 freaking years. 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., about 40 clients a day. And you know what? I was the most exhausted person you would ever see, surviving on my Nana's coffee. She was still living upstairs and she knew the route. Bring me a cafetiere, bring me a coffee at 6 a.m. Bring me a coffee at 12 and bring me a coffee at 4. I know, terrible. But back then, there wasn't that many naturopaths, so we didn't know what was good or not. All I know is that I need coffee to work. And work I did. So one day, I'm getting ready. I usually woke up back then around 4:45 a.m. because I had a client at 6. And I also, towards the end of the career down here, I saw the client at 5. Client Julia. Machine, by the way. And I remember her PR hip thrust was 415 for 10. I remember. So I open up Instagram and there was this thing. They're talking about this thing, like this bacteria, this fungus. I'm like, well, what's this thing? So the clients are coming in. We're talking about this thing, this virus, this capital C virus. So here I am with my disinfectant. I said, don't worry, guys, over here, it's a clean gym. Nana, she has everything. Nana, she's praying to the gods. Everything is fine. A couple days later, a week later, gyms start closing. But here, no, we're not a gym. We're a home gym. Nana's upstairs. Oh. Long story short, I had to close the gym down here. And again, another lesson was that life could be very unfair. And I felt defeated in that moment, where after 5 years of things finally going well, yes, I was working like, I don't even know how many hours I was working, but like I made my dream come true. And I just felt that it was taken away. So I spent a day or so, at home, freaking out in panic, in uncertainty. But because I learned the lesson of uncertainty when I quit my job, I knew that I had to do something because I had nothing to fall back on. I don't know how long this thing would have stayed here. There's a trainer here in Montreal that I respect very, very much, and I'm always going to say his name because he has a very big reason to my perspective, my success as a trainer, John Chainberg. And I'm going to say it again because I need to give respect where respect is due. If it wasn't for John Chainberg giving his Instagram lives, I would have never had the courage or the idea to give Instagram lives. So John, I know that you're never going to watch this, but if you are watching this, I don't know you. You don't know me, but I want to say that I appreciate you very, very much because you showed us what was possible. And if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I'd be. So I appreciate you very, very much. I remember John was giving lives and he had like 1,400 people on the lives. I'm like, that's a lot of people, bud. So I go to my girlfriend, Jen, who is the hottest woman on planet Earth. Shout out, Jen. I hope she's listening. I'm like, Jen, what do you think about if we do what Chainberg is doing? She's like, yeah, why not? Sure. I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy. So I started my first live workout during the pandemic, and we were 7 people, probably my mother, Jen, maybe my dog, and a couple of my friends. Terrible live. It stopped like 4 times because of copyright. Who knew? Who knew Instagram knew what was going on with music? Who knew they were listening? But I did it. And I did another one. We had 9. And then I did another one. We had 15. And I did that for a month. And we went from 7 people to about 27 people. And so not to ramble on, I did that for 6 months, giving free live Instagram workouts, 4 per week. And the thing wasn't going away. Do you guys remember that weird time when we were like, okay, it's done, and it would always come back? So I'm like, yo, man, I got to turn this into a business. So what I did was actually started to charge. I started a private Instagram page back in the day, maybe 7 years ago. And just take a guess on how many people subscribe to that page. Remember, we started with 7 people. 7. And after month 1, we were about 37. And I did that for 6 months. 750 people subscribed to phase 1 of what I like to call DGym Live. 750 people. And it was a lesson that I am so happy that I learned, that good things take time. Whether you're scared, whether you think you're gonna suck, whether you think it's gonna work or not work, guess what? You are right. You're right. So let's say you suck. How are you gonna get better? By quitting? Well, you're gonna suck. If you quit, you're gonna suck because you're never gonna get better. And it just gave me so much confidence with everything that this podcast, it sucks. It might suck. My second one might be better. My 10th one's probably going to be better than my first one. And my 150th podcast is probably going to be better than my first one. And I kept doing that for about 6 years, up until I started my website. So with the skills that I've learned by giving these live workouts for like 7 years, 4 lives per week, that's what? My math is terrible. Actually, it's not that bad. That's 208 lives per year times 7. That is 1,400 lives. 1,400 workouts that I've given. You develop a skill, and I took that skill to my website. And don't worry, I'm not going to offer you what my website is. It's just to say, like, it's crazy how little things add up to massive things. So obviously dealing with all of these wonderful clients that I deal with, and if you're watching this, I hope that you feel that I've never changed, and I hope that you feel that what I always told you is the truth, that consistency is the main thing. Without it, it's just hopes and dreams. So obviously dealing with this many people, you hear a lot. And there's one thing that I heard since my first client down here, even the days back in CrossFit. Derek, I eat healthy, but I'm not getting results. Derek, I eat healthy, but I'm not getting results. You hear that once, you hear that twice, you hear that 10 times, you hear that 50 times, you hear that 100 times. You're going to be fed up of hearing that. So what did I do? I went grocery shopping. I bought a lot of groceries and I started cooking. My wife's like, what are you doing? I said, Jen, I'm making a food video. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, why are you cooking so much? Because I'm going to do one side, 1,700 calories of healthy food. I'm going to do another side, 3,200 calories of healthy food to show people that, yes, you could eat healthy, but it doesn't mean that calories don't count. And I posted that video. And I was used to getting like 1,000 views and like 80 likes. And that was like a good day. Like that's the post that I would get 80 likes, I put some cologne on. Like, yeah, today's a good day. I went to bed and I woke up and my phone looked like a Christmas tree. There was notifications everywhere. Don't. I remember in 12 hours, I got like 30,000 views. I've never seen that before. Now, I know that there's some influencers saying, if I don't get 30,000 views in the first hour, the video flopped. Well, you could flop on out of here, little one. I'm talking about my story. This is not your story. Within a week, that video hit 500,000 views, and I was like, whoa. And I just kept doing them. And like, there's so many like little lessons in this podcast that are like the main things in life Don't be scared to try something new, whether they laugh at you or not, because people will talk about you whether you do something or not. So you're better off just freaking doing it and getting something out of it than staying quiet and making people talk shit about you anyways. Who cares? They don't tuck you in at night. If they don't tuck you in at night, it doesn't matter. And that's how I started the food videos. And towards the end of 2025, I told myself I want to be like much more raw with my social media, because I feel that social media has changed, and it's like where are the real people at? Like, where are the humans at? It's all good. Make reels, do your thing, make your money. But where's that emotion at? Where's that connection at? And that's why I said I want to start doing long format videos. And you could call this a podcast, you could call it whatever you want. I just call it a conversation. And I hope that you enjoyed it.